Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to share with you a little known scientific secret which explains anxiety. I didn't come across this till late on in my recovery journey, and it left me scratching my head as to why on earth people do not seem to know about this and why people are not talking about it more widely. It really does explain so much. So stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to be fully unpacking this secret and give you a bunch of actionable steps which you can implement right away to start reducing your anxiety immediately. Have you ever wondered why you feel anxious on a daily basis? Why there's that low level of anxiety churning away in your stomach? Or have you ever wondered why you can't seem to stop yourself reaching for sweet foods or for KFC and junk food? Well, there's a very simple concept from evolutionary psychology called evolutionary mismatch. And the basis of this concept is that the brains and the physiology that we have inherited through millions of years of evolution are not suited to the modern environment that we find ourselves in now. Evolution has been a process of millions of years, and the society and the modern world we live in now has come about in the blink of an eye. So our mental operating systems, our software and our physiological hardware do not actually match the environment that it finds itself in. You can see this with our cravings for junk food and how fast food companies hack our psychology. We are evolutionarily designed to binge on sweet and fatty foods because throughout history, these would have been very rare foods, very scarce. So when we came across a bee's nest or something of that type, we would binge on it and stock up on those calories, build up a huge surplus of fat, which would then see us through the coming period. However, that's not how the world is now, and we can find a KFC on every street corner. But our mental operating system has not changed, so we're still hardwired to binge on those foods. This also relates to anxiety because the environment that we are in now is not the one that we're evolved for. We are evolved to be connected to other humans in tribal groups, to be able to remember up to around 150 people by facial recognition, to have this social contact, to get exercise, to get vitamin D, to be moving, all of these things. And we are not receiving these in our modern society. We are now completely atomized and isolated. We live in small boxes. We do not see other humans. We do not interact. We do not get vitamin D. We do not move enough. We don't eat natural whole foods. All of these things. And this is what we call the evolutionary mismatch. I like to ask my clients what they think would happen to a chimpanzee if you took him from the wild and put him directly into a nightclub with all that loud music, all that artificial light, cigarette smoke, all that electronic music and stimulation. Well, that's pretty much what's happened to us as humans. We've evolved as social primates, and now we're in this crazy modern environment where there's so much stimulation from social media, from processed foods, and so many other environmental stressors and stimulants which leave our nervous system completely frayed. As I've said in other videos, our nervous system is now completely dysregulated. So the sympathetic is the dominant side of the nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and digest mode, has almost been deactivated as we're constantly in a stressed state. Evolutionarily, we're evolved to be in a state of relaxation, and then we're activated to take care of a threat or a problem, and then we go back into parasympathetic. Well, as you know, that is just not the case now. We are left stuck in a constant low-level state of sympathetic activation and can rarely, if ever, get into a true sympathetic, relaxed state. Okay, all very well. So we can understand now that our physiology and our psychology is not suited to the slightly bizarre modern world that we find ourselves in now, with lots of screens, artificial light, artificial food, lack of social communication, and all the rest of it. Great, but now what do we do about it? Well, what I suggest to my clients is, where possible, start taking a step back to some of the more traditional life that we are evolved for. And I do not mean throwing away all your material possessions and going to live in a little log cabin off the grid in the woods. But what I do recommend is, where possible, just try and implement in some of those more natural practices that we've forgotten. Try and get some social connection where you can. Try and walk barefoot in natural environments where you can. Try and eat more whole foods where you can. Try and get away from this diet of bad news and social media. Have a detoxification, turn off your phone. Try and spend one day of the weekend perhaps without any screens, whatever it might be. I'm not talking about becoming a complete Luddite or a primitivist, but there is very strong scientific evidence that we thrive and flourish when we're in more natural surroundings that suit our natural physiology and psychology. So whether that means taking a weekend away and getting off into the countryside and just connecting a little bit more with the natural earth and having less screens, having less stimulation, whether it means just carving out a little bit of time each day where you do something that's more traditional, where you connect with your kids and your family or your friends, where you just try and get away from some of this artificial stimulation. However you do it, it looks different for every person depending on their situation and their circumstances. But I do highly recommend just trying to get more in tune with your natural physiology, psychology, try and understand the fact that evolutionarily you are still a social primate who needs connection, who needs time in nature, who needs vitamin D, who needs sunlight, fresh air, and all of these basic things which we have lost touch with a little bit in our modern society. So please try implementing these and let me know how it goes in the comments section below.